Today, we're going to learn how to buy and sell stock in the pre-market and in the after hours within Webull. These are going to be those time periods before and after the stock exchanges open and close, and this time period is really going to depend on your individual broker. Now, in the case of Webull, they might actually have the earliest pre-market hours with trading available as early as 4 a.m. Eastern Time and the after hours going up until 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So between those hours, between the hours of 4 a.m. and 8 p.m., you can buy and sell stock just like normal. There's just going to be a couple things that you have to do to make sure the order works correctly. First off, you do have to use a limit order, and second, you have to identify that you want the order good during the extended session. Now, going through an example, let's go ahead and build out an order to buy some stock. In my case, the market's been closed for just over an hour, and at the moment, you can see up here, I've got a chart open for Ford. We can see that Ford last traded for $11.88, and it was down 19 cents today. But in the after hours, it's actually moved down another penny. It is now trading for $11.87. So if I wanted to buy the stock right now in the after hours, I'm going to begin by coming down here to the order entry tool right at the bottom of my screen. And I'm simply going to click on the little button here that says New Order. You can immediately see it builds out an order ticket just up here above, and by default, it's an order to buy one share of stock using a limit order at the current price. If we were to begin on the left-hand side, if I instead wanted to short the stock, I could always click on this buy button here, and now I'm saying I want to sell the stock or short the stock if I didn't have any shares of Ford right now. In my case, I do want to buy, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that one more time. I could then come to the right and specify exactly how many shares I wanted to buy. In this case, I do only want to buy one, so I'm going to leave that set. I could then come over here to the right to the order type, and at the moment, I do have to leave it set as a limit order to make sure that it does work in the after hours. So you cannot use a market order, you can't use stops, only limit orders. And then just to the right of that, we can then specify exactly what price I want to pay for it. So in my case, let's say I didn't want to buy Ford right now. I only wanted to buy the stock if it dropped down to, let's say, $11.80. Once we've got the price locked in, you can then come over here to the right to the time in force box, and this is where you can specify how long you want the order good for. So at the moment, with the day order selected, we're saying if it does not fill today, just go ahead and cancel the order. If I were to instead click on that and flip it over to GTC or good until canceled, I am now saying I want the order to go out every single day until it fills. And in the case of Webull, it's not really good forever. It's actually only good for 60 days, but that's good enough for our purposes. But now that we've got the time in force selected, I'm now saying I want this order to go out every single day until it fills. I can now come over here to the right and flip the extended hours to yes. So now what I'm saying is I want this order good every single day it fills from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it's going to be good for the pre-market, the regular market, and the after-hour session. Again, 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now that that's set, everything looks good. If I were to come down here below and hit place order, we can then see the little order confirmation pops up just to confirm that everything looks right, that this is exactly what I want to do. And since it is, we'll come down here below and we'll hit buy. You can now see that order reflected right up here on the chart. It now shows I've got an open order to buy the stock if it ever drops down to $11.80. And I can also see it by coming over here to the right-hand side where my working orders are at. And right here is the order as well. Now, if I wanted to adjust that order, I could come over here to the order ticket, or I could have just right-clicked on it in that little order screen in the lower right. But what I want to do is actually drag that order ticket up to the current price of the stock, in this case, $11.88. So now if I were to let go of it, I can again get that little order confirmation just to confirm that everything looks right. And if it does, I'm going to go ahead and hit buy. And there you go. You can see that order to buy the stock has just filled. I just bought one additional share of Ford in the after hours. Now, for those of you watching who might want to do that a little bit more quickly, this can also be done using the Active Trader tool right up here above. Now, at the moment, this tool is not quite set up correctly in order for us to do this, but we could make a couple quick changes to make sure that this does work in the after hours. In order to do that, we're going to come up here to the menu icon in the upper right-hand corner of this trade tool. We're then going to come to the right and click on the Active Trader settings. You can then see that pulls up the menu over here on the left where we can see all of the buttons and all of the information we currently have check marked over here on the left. This is the information that is currently being displayed on that active trader tool. So in my case, at the moment, all I've got over there is a buy market button and a sell market button. If you remember back to a second ago, these buttons are not going to work in the after hours because we have to use a limit order. So what we could do is we could either select a buy customize button and a sell customize button, or we could just use the buy at the ask and the sell at the bid buttons to make sure the orders fill immediately in the after hours. So in my case, that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to check mark the buy at the ask button and the sell at the bid button. Now by clicking on those buttons, in this case, I'm going to click on the buy at the ask button, I can now see a little menu over here on the right where I can adjust those settings. In this case, starting at the top, you can see that if I were to click on that button, it's going to place a limit order to buy 100 shares, and in my case, I only want that to be 1. You can then see down here below, it's basing that price off of the asking price of the stock, which is actually what I want. At the moment, the offset right now is 5 cents, but in my case, if I wanted this order to go in right at the current asking price, I'm going to adjust that down to 0 cents. So now what this means is if I were to actually click on this button that we're about to make, I want to place a limit order to buy 1 share at whatever the asking price is right now. So if right now the price of the stock was, let's say, $11.90, and I were to click on that button, I would be placing a limit order to buy 1 share at $11.90. You can also see down here the time in force is currently marked as a day order, so this order is only going to be good for today, but I do have the extended hours turned on. So when I click on this button, this order is going to be good for 4 a.m. to 8 p.m., but if it doesn't fill by 8 p.m. today, it's just going to cancel itself. Now there are a few other settings down here below that you could adjust as well, a take profit order and a stop loss order. But we're not going to touch on those today, and instead I need to come over here and adjust the sell at the bid button as well. So we're going to click on that. I'm then going to come over here to the right and adjust these settings almost to mirror what I did on the previous one. So it's going to be a limit order. I only want to buy or sell 1 share at a time anytime I click on that button. For this one, I do want it to go in at the bid price, and this is the best price I can sell it for right now. And the bid is going to be the best selling price in the after hours. Coming to the right, I'm going to leave the offset set to $0 because I don't want to adjust the price. I want it to go in right at the current bid price. I'm going to come down here and leave the time in force set as a day order, but I do need to turn on the extended hours. Now that that's done, if we were to come down here below and actually hit the done button, those additional buttons have now been added to the active trader tool right up here at the top. So now if I were to actually click on the buy at the ask button, this would actually work for the after hours. Same goes for the sell one at the bid button. So in my case, since I actually just bought a share of Ford a few minutes ago, if I now wanted to sell that same share immediately, if I could right now in the after hours, I'm just going to click on this button right here that says sell one at the bid. You can then see that as soon as I did that, it actually sold that share immediately. And that's how quick it's going to be if you use these buttons. You can use this to trade incredibly fast, even in the after hours. But I know I went through that quick, so I would really recommend you practice with this just to get an idea on how to use it. But that really does cover just about everything you'll need to know to buy or sell stock in the pre-market and the post-market within Webull. There's a lot of other stuff out there about Webull and about trading, so if you are looking to learn more, consider checking out this video next. You might find it helpful as well. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on the next one.